Welcome back to another session conducted by the Crown Corporate Campus under the lecture series that we are doing on the company secretarial practices or the corporate secretarial practices. So today's recorded session is going to be on the corporate compliance and regulatory requirements. Simply said, what are the duties, obligations that a company secretary has when it comes to a company. We have already studied what are the duties. Here we are going to talk about the regulatory compliance, that is what ought to be done in the company through the company secretary. company එකේ මොනවද වෙන්න ඕනේ services company secretary හරහා කියන කොටස තමයි අද අපි cover up කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. එතකොට first and foremost we are going to discuss the incorporation and the registration of the company happens through the company secretary. Now many a times as a practicing company secretary I also know this, sometimes parties, because now it's everything is in the EROC platform, even company directors do their own incorporation, but as they have to name a company secretary, they might as well tell the company secretaries, look here, we will get all the documentation done, can we just get your signature as the company secretary? I mean, of course, you can do it, but always remember that if they do a problem with the documentation of the company, it will still be your sole responsibility, because the incorporation and the registration of a company is the sole responsibility of the company secretary. So therefore, if at all, if you're signing company secretary forms only and not doing the main incorporation or the registration part of the company, make sure that you get even all the documentation. Once they make the documentation, before they are submitted, make sure that you at least go through them once, so that you will, because evading the liability is not a choice for the company secretary in this situation. The company secretary plays a key role in ensuring that the company is properly incorporated and registered in compliance with the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. So under Companies Act number 7 of 2007 only we incorporate and register a company. So it is the ultimate duty of the company secretary to make sure that the company is properly incorporated and registered, even if you are really not doing that job. So the key responsibilities: preparing and filing incorporation documents with the registrar of companies. So you have to prepare and file the incorporation documents. Even at one of our now, as what we are doing in the live sessions these days, I have explained to you already what are the forms that you need to get. How do you get the forms? Because now in the EROC platform, you just have to feed in the details, and we already get the made form. It's just a matter of checking the details and placing your signature, the director's signature and the shareholder's signatures. So basically, company secretary have to draft the articles of association. Of course, you can use the model articles that is available in the schedule of the Companies Act. But many a times, especially when a lawyer is appointed as the company secretary, even if it is not a lawyer, if you have exposure in drafting, companies would like you to draft your own articles of association for the company. And other than that, you have to get the consent and certificates from the directors and secretaries. So if you remember in our live session we discussed, this includes the form 1, form 18, form 19 and things like that, right? Ensuring the company name complies with the statutory restrictions and is approved, right? So we know that the first step of the incorporation process is the name registration. So company secretary have to make sure that the name complies by the rules that are given under the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. And that the company name is taken approval beforehand. But this is not a big problem nowadays, because you are not allowed to go into the incorporation of the company without incorporating or without registering the name of the company. And after that, obtaining the certificate of incorporation. So once you feed in all the details to the company secretary, to the EROC website, and you get the forms downloaded, place your signature, scan them, upload them, then EROC will check your documentation and issue the certificate of incorporation. This certificate of incorporation is the ultimate proof or the final proof that the company is registered. Usually we say if the company has a proper incorporation certificate, it is proof that the company has been registered in the appropriate, correct way. Advising promoters and directors on statutory requirements relating to company formation. So not only in the company, even in the company formation, now directors might not know that they have to submit form 1, form 18, form 19, directors might not know. If the directors don't know, company secretary have a duty to inform them. That is the requirement. That's the purpose why we have a company secretary. Company secretary have to inform these things have to happen. So you have to always, maybe have an email trail informing your clients what needs to be done. I have explained to you even every document, every minute detail you get from a client, make sure that you get it on a proper format. Right? Because when you get it on a proper format, nothing for you to be afraid of. Everything you have it in writing, you have proof. So you have to tell the client because clients will call and ask you, okay, I want to incorporate a company. This is going to be the object of the company. What are the details that you need? So you should know what details you should get from your prospective clients. Okay. So that's about the incorporation and the registration compliance. Yes, and then moving on to now this incorporation and the registration compliance is covered under certain sections of the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Now actually I have added this slide for the students coming from a non-legal background, because of course if you are a lawyer, you are familiar with the Companies Act number 7 of 2007 and any other regulation. So actually me explaining this to you is not very important, but especially the non-legal students or students who come from a non-legal background, you would always want to know, okay, where now clients might ask, okay, for example, let's say you ask for the client's birthday. Client might ask, why should I provide you my details? Right? So you should be able to say, okay, under Companies Act, this section, these details I require. So like that, just for your knowledge, I have added the relevant sections, not everything per se, but the relevant sections coming under each duty of the company secretary. So section 1 of the Companies Act and part 1 sets out the short title, commencement and objects of the Act, including incorporation requirements. So in the short title of the Act itself, in the short title of the Companies Act itself, it says the requirement for the incorporation of a company. And in section 2, a company incorporated under this Act is a body corporate with legal status and capacity. So section 2 of the Companies Act says that if you incorporate a company under the Companies Act number 7 of 2007, that it is getting its legal standing, that it's considered as a separate legal personality or considered as a body corporate under section 2. Note, while the Act itself sets out incorporation, the prescribed forms and processes to be filed with the Registrar of Companies are provided in the Companies Forms Regulations made under the Act. So these company forms, they are not being given under the Companies Act, but it's of course part and parcel of the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. So you don't have to know the format of these forms, because anyway you can get it in the EROC platform. When you feed in the details, automatically details will be fed into the form and you just have to download it and place your signature. Right. So that is with regard to the first duty, the incorporation, formation or the incorporation of a company. Second one, maintenance of statutory registers and records. Now, in companies, we have to maintain registers. Why do we maintain registers? To maintain the important details of the company. Important details of the company, you can't just write it in A4 sheets and keep it in a file. That can't be done. You have to maintain it in a proper way. So, how do you maintain that? Is that maintaining the proper registers, maintaining the proper records is also duty of the company secretary. The company secretary is responsible for maintaining accurate and up-to-date statutory records. Very important. First one, accurate. There can't be lies in the statutory registers or records that you maintain. Second thing, it should be up-to-date, not outdated. You can't have outdated information. I'd say even up to the phone number. If a director's phone number has changed, even that has to be updated in the registers and the records as mandated by the Act. So registers and records are, so these are the registers and records that are normally maintained in a company, right? There's a register of shareholders, register of directors and secretaries, register of interest in shares. So basically this is with regard to the shareholders. This is directors and secretaries. Then you have a register with regard to the shares and debentures. Separately with regard to charges, fixed charges and floating charges, right? Rough idea is enough. then the minutes of meetings and resolutions, and the share certificates and share transfer records, right? So those are the usual registers and records that we maintain. These records must be maintained at the registered office and made available for inspection as required by law. So in case if the registrar of companies request to have a look at the company's registers and records, you must have a set of company's registers and records with you. How do you maintain these registers and records? The practicality of it we will discuss at the live session with regard to this particular lesson, right? Now again, what are the statutory provisions that are relevant? Section 116(1) lists company records and documents that must be kept at the registered office. So whatever the records and documents that must be maintained is mentioned in section 116 subsection 1 of the Companies Act. So what you have to keep is the certificate of incorporation, articles, minutes of meetings of shareholders and directors, interest registers, share registers, etc. is mentioned under section 116 subsection 1 of the Companies Act. Section 119 and 120 says the inspection rights of company records by directors, shareholders and the public. If the directors, shareholders, especially if it's a public limited company, even the public, they should have an opportunity to investigate, or they should have the opportunity to inspect these files and records. So that right given to the shareholders, directors and the public is set out in sections 119 and 120. Then sections 123 and section 124 obligations related to the share register, basically about the location of the share register, the principals register and the notice of charges with regard to the share register. So sections 123 and 124 is specifically given to the share register, and section 223 requires a register of directors and secretaries. So section 223 is for the register of directors and secretaries and sets out what information it must contain as well as the requirement to notify changes to the registrar within the prescribed timelines, right? So how do you, again, the practicality of it we will discuss in the practical sessions. But remember that all of these duties of the company secretary are statutorily executed. It's there in the statute, it's there in the Companies Act. You can't get away with it. If you don't fulfill these obligations, you have committed an offense. So company secretaries have to be really careful about maintaining these registers under sections, especially with regard to the records and registers under sections 116, sections 119, 120, sections 123 and 124 and sections 223. Right, third duty. Now we have discussed two duties up to now. First duty was the incorporation and the registration of a company. The second duty was the maintenance of registers and the records. Third duty is compliance with directors' appointments and resignations and duties. So you have to look into the directors' appointment, resignation and duty. So even when a director leaves, when a director comes, all of this is also handled by the company secretary. What are the duties of directors also? Whether directors fulfill their duties are also looked into by the company secretary. The company secretary ensures compliance with statutory provisions relating to directors. So the responsibilities include facilitating appointments, resignation and removal of directors. So if you have to have a meeting, call for a meeting, passing of a what do you call it, with regard to, so basically when removing of a director, passing of resolutions, right? Whether you need to call a meeting, whether you need to pass a resolution, can we pass a circular resolution, all of these have to be looked into by the company secretary. So how do we do the appointment, removal of a director also? I will do the forms that you need to fill, I will be covering with you in the practical sessions that we are doing, the live sessions. Facilitating appointments, resignations and removal of directors, and filing required forms and notices with the registrar of company. So from time to time we know when we are having a director change, we have to submit a form called the Form 20. right? So making this form 20, getting the signatures, uploading it in the EROC platform, all of this the company secretary has to do. Ensuring directors meet eligibility requirements under the act. So if this person, as the company secretary in your company, if there is a disqualified director, it's a problem to you. You have to make sure you know the background of the director and check whether the director is eligible to become a director in our company, right? Advising directors on their statutory duties, fiduciary obligations and disclosure requirements. You can't say that all directors will know their duties. Sometimes there can be directors who don't know about their duties. That is why we company secretaries are appointed. We have a duty to inform them. These are your fiduciary duties. These are your obligations towards the company. We have to inform the directors, and ensuring declarations of interest are properly recorded and disclosed. So especially if a director have a conflict of interest, right, they will declare about it. Those are what we call as declarations of interest. Those have to be recorded. නිකන් කටවචනයට තියාගන්න බෑ. director මට කිව්වා ඒක ඇති කියලා නෑ. You should always have it in a proper recorded format, so that in case in future if a problem happens, you will always have the record with you, right? So the third duty of the company secretary is with regard to the compliance with directors' appointments, resignation and duties. Again, there are Companies Act sections that will govern this. So section 221, every company shall have a secretary. A person cannot act unless consent and qualification certificates are filed. So every company should have a secretary according to section 221. A person cannot act unless consent and qualification certificates are filled. Now, without signing a form 19, you can't make a person a secretary. The person should have, for example, let's say my details are there with another person. ඒ පුද්ගලයාට පුළුවන් ද මගේ විස්තර දාලා මාව කම්පැනි සෙක්‍රටරි අපොයින්ට් කරන්න මම දැනගන්න නැතුව නැහැ. මොකද මම form 19 එකක් අත්සන් කළ යුතුමයි. It's a must that I sign a form 19 to become the company secretary, right? That is covered under section 221. Then under section 222, qualifications of the secretary, it has prescribed in section 222 of the Companies Act, specifically to become a company secretary, what are the qualifications you ought to have been mentioned. Section 223 obligates the company to maintain the register of directors and secretaries and notify changes to the registrar within 20 working days, right? Section 223 obligates company to maintain the register of directors and secretaries. Company have to maintain the register of directors and secretaries, and if there are any changes, you must notify the registrar within 20 working days from the change. If you go beyond 20 working days, problem, right? As and when a director change or a secretary change happens, within 20 days, you have to inform the registrar of companies. And from sections 134 to 144, the 10 sections, provisions governing the how to have an AGM, that's an annual general meeting, how to have an EGM, that is an extraordinary general meeting, then the notice periods that you have to give for meetings, is it 28 days, 21 days, 14 days, these notices, right? The proxies, that is if a director is unable to participate in a meeting, how can they appoint someone else to act on their behalf, right? Those are called as proxies. I will be teaching you in the live sessions, I'll be teaching you how to draft a proxy as well. What are the wordings that you need to have in a proxy also will be discussed, right? Voting and special resolutions. So about voting, how do you pass special resolutions, how do you draft a resolution, we'll be covering all of that, right? Note, director duties, right? Of course, a director has a duty to act in good faith, to disclose any conflicts of interest that they have, are found in sections 187 to 200, and while relevant for governance compliance, these are primarily director duties rather than specifically company secretary duties. So when you see sections 187 to 200, it's mainly focused on company directors duties, not particularly about company secretary duties. Now, I don't expect you to, even at the examination or the practical session that I'll be giving you, I don't expect you to by heart these section numbers, because anyone and everyone who have the Companies Act can refer to the Companies Act. You මේවා by heart කරගෙන ඉඳලා වැඩක් නැහැ. You don't have to by heart these, right? But you need to have an idea that these areas are covered under the Companies Act. මොන areas the Companies Act එකේ අතේ cover වෙන්නේ කියලා දැනගෙන ඉන්නට ඕනේ, right? Let's move on to the next duty. So I think that's our fourth duty. Fourth duty is the conduct of board meeting. So arranging of the board meeting, conducting the board meeting is a duty of the company secretary. The company secretary ensures that board meetings are convened and conducted in accordance with the Act and the Articles of Association. Very, very important. The board meeting have to be convened and conducted. What is the difference? Convene means meeting calling the people for the meeting. Conducted means you continue with the meeting. So both have to be done according to both the Act as well as the articles, right? Act also should be complied with. Articles of Association also have to be complied with. What is the Act that we are talking about? Companies Act number 7 of 2007. So what are the duties with regard to board meetings for a company secretary? Issuing notices and agendas for board meetings. You have to inform people, right? Like in school, board meetings, right? Board members are busy. They have other meetings too, especially if you have non-executive directors, you have to get them from out sometimes. So therefore, you have to inform them prior. How many days prior? We will discuss those in the live sessions, right? So you have to issue notices and give them an agenda. On this day, this is what we are going to do in the company. Then advising on the quorum requirements. What is a quorum requirement? For a meeting to be a success, minimum how many people should be there at a meeting? Simple example, can the CEO have a meeting alone, just one person, and take decisions on his own? You can't do that. Why? Usually minimum quorum for a meeting is 2 people. Meeting එකක් කරන්න බෑනේ. Meeting එකක් කරන්න අවම මිනිස්සු දෙන්නෙක් සිටිය යුතුයි. එතකොට මේ quorum එක ගැනත් inform කරන්නට ඕනේ. Recording accurate minutes of board meetings. So whatever that is discussed in the meeting, company secretary should have a record. Ensuring board resolutions are properly passed and documented. So drafting the board resolution is important. It should be passed either as an ordinary resolution or a special resolution or a written resolution depending on the requirement, and also it should be properly documented. Right? You have to maintain them properly, because in case in the future if a problem happens, or if one of the directors go to court against you, you should always have proof. Retaining minutes as part of the statutory records. Whatever that was discussed in a meeting should be recorded in the meeting minutes and maintained as a record. Okay, so those are the duties with regard to the conduct of board meetings, which is again covered under some of the sections of the Companies Act. There isn't a specific section that outlines company secretary functions, but related provisions include section 116 and following, the requirements of minutes of all meetings of directors and the resolutions. So minutes of meetings and resolutions is covered under sections 116 and after that a few sections. Then sections 134 to 144, meeting procedures that the secretary ensures compliance with. So the meeting procedure that you have to follow with regard to directors meetings, shareholder meetings, what is the procedure you have to follow is covered under sections 134 to 144 of the Companies Act, right? Okay, so the fifth duty of the company secretary, fifth duty of the company secretary is the conduct of shareholder meetings. Now, not only director meetings, company secretary have a duty with regard to the shareholder meetings, also very similar to the previous meetings that we discussed. The company secretary is responsible for ensuring compliance in relation to general meetings of shareholders. So to look into the general meetings of shareholders. Key duties include convening the annual general meeting and extraordinary general meeting. So basically duties with regard to the AGM and the EGMs. AGM is the annual general meeting, EGM is the extraordinary general meeting. Issuing notices of meetings within statutory timelines, especially when you are calling for an annual general meeting, there is a particular timeline. Because of the lack of timeline, if a particular shareholder was unable to attend, problem on the company secretary. Of course, if it was an innocent mistake, you can put in your argumentation. But why do a mistake like that? Always make sure that you give the proper statutory notice period, right? Preparing agenda, so you have to prepare agenda, what are we going to discuss, proxy forms, explanatory statements, you have to also explain, right, some things that the directors, shareholders might not understand, you have to explain. ensuring quorum and voting procedures comply with the Act. So just like other meetings, have to look whether the minimum required for the meeting, whether they have participated, and the other voting procedures. Recording and maintaining minutes of general meetings. Also, you have to record, maintain the minutes of the meetings, and filing special resolutions with the registrar of companies, right? Filing special resolutions with the registrar of companies is on with regard to shareholder meetings is also a duty of the company secretary. Again, not much of statutory requirements are there, but a few of them are mentioned here. So the relevant statutory provisions, section 133 speaks of the annual general meeting requirements and the timeline. Section 134 speaks of the extraordinary general meeting, the requisition by the shareholders, that is a meeting being called by the requirement of the shareholders. Then section 135, the length of notice for calling meetings, right? Length of notice, how during what period should we call people for meetings, calling for meetings, right? The length of notice, as I told you before, is it 7 days, 14 days, 28 days, like that. Section 136 to section 141, we'll discuss about the meeting procedures, how do you do the voting, how do you appoint proxies, how do you keep a poll, right? So poll means like a vote, right? How do you keep a vote, a proper vote? Is a show of hands sufficient, or are we going for a formal poll, right? All of that will be discussed. Then sections 142 to section 145 discuss about special resolutions and resolutions requiring special notice and resolutions in lieu of meetings. That is, without having the meeting, sometimes with regard to annual general meetings also, without having the meeting, you can pass a resolution in lieu of the meeting. So how do you draft the resolution in lieu of the meeting also, I will be teaching you at the practical session, okay, at the live session. So fifth duty of the company secretary also we have discussed, and the sixth duty is with regard to the share capital and the shareholder compliance, right? Making sure that the share capital and the shareholder compliance is duly looked into is a duty of the company secretary. The company secretary oversees compliance relating to the issue, transfer, alteration of share capital. If you remember at the last live session that I did for you, I explained to you that I will teach you how to draft a share transfer agreement, right? So all of those are legal documentation, especially if you're a non-lawyer, you should know how to handle these legal compliance, right? How to draft a share transfer agreement, because you don't have to have a lawyer to sign it. Parties can have it as a amicable, agreement, but still you need to know the exact wording that you need to use in the draft. So we'll be discussing all of that. Responsibilities include issuing shares in accordance with the statutory requirements. You can't just issue shares. Even when issuing shares, there's a procedure you have to follow. There are some forms you have to submit to the EROC. So looking into all of that. Managing share transfers and allotments, so that is through share transfer agreements. Issuing share certificates within the prescribed timeline. So once a person becomes a shareholder, that new shareholder should be given a share certificate. Ensuring compliance with provisions on share buybacks, redemptions and reductions of capital. So sometimes, we'll have to buy back some shares, right? Redemption shares. So how to handle redemption shares? We will not go into the practicalities of redemption shares, of course, because it's a little too deep. But of course, let's see if time permits, we will try to touch on that as well. Advising the board on shareholder rights and obligations. So as a director, what are the rights that directors have? I told you, shareholder have to inform. What are your obligations? Shareholder have to inform. Same way as the shareholder, company secretary have to inform. In the same way, with regard to the shareholders, what are their duties, what are their obligations, what are their rights, will be explained by the company secretary. So relevant provisions, again sections 1, 2, 3, we discussed this before. 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 4 is about maintaining the share registers, principal register, requirements and duties upon alteration of share registers. Then sections 1 to 7 and 1 to 8, powers to close a register and rectification by court. So you can't just, a share register, you can't just tipex and correct it. right? If there is a correction now, if you are doing a correction over some time, you have to get a court order. What is the procedure? All of that are given in sections 127 and 128. But these are very, especially when it comes to private limited companies, very rarely that you will particularly look into these aspects. But if possible, we will touch on those as well. Then sections 59 to 61 deal with share issues, consolidation, subdivision, reduction of capital, distribution by way of dividends and return of capital, matters the secretary facilitates compliance with. So matters that the secretary look into with regard to reduction of the share capital, distributions, share issues are handled under sections 59 to 61. If you should have a Companies Act at home, or it's readily available on the internet, maybe if you have time, go through these sections, have a read, you will get a very good knowledge, an overall knowledge about the duties of a company secretary with regard to regulatory compliance. Then the seventh duty is the filing and the disclosure requirements. All the filing of the company happens through the company secretary. Company secretary should have an idea about it. Company secretary ensures timely and accurate statutory filings and disclosures. So again, remember, timely, it should happen in time, and also it should be accurate. If you get delayed in filing or making a disclosure, it can result in a fine that a company will have to pay. Sometimes if it's your delay, if it's the company secretary's delay, company will say we are not going to bear it, it is your delay, might as well you bear it. So it can be an additional cost on you. And the key filings that we usually do, annual returns, I explained this to you under form 15. More about it we will be discussing in the live sessions as well. So you have to submit forms, the form 15 annually. Notice of changes to directors, secretaries, registered office. I told you when directors, secretaries change, we have to put a form 20. Then if we are changing the registered office, form 6, like that, there are different forms. Then about passing of special resolutions, when you pass a special resolution, a copy should be given to the registrar of companies. Notice of charges and their satisfaction, financial statements where applicable, and failure to comply with filing requirements can result in penalties. Therefore, timely compliance is a critical function. So remember, sometimes you will have to pay a penalty or a fine if you are delayed, if you don't file something in a timely manner. And because of that, company secretary have to be very careful that the company will not have to pay any penalties. So the main statutory provisions is sections 131 and 132 discusses about the annual return, what is the contents that must be there in an annual return, how often should you file the annual returns, and about the certificates. Section 223 speaks about the notice of change when there is a director change, secretary change, that you have to inform about it to the company secretary. Sorry, you have to inform about it to the registrar of companies. Then note, the actual prescribed forms and fees are contained in the company's forms and fees regulations made under the Act. So actually when you go to the EROC platform, you can get all the forms and inquire about the fees as well. Right. So the eighth duty of a company secretary with regard to statutory compliance is financial reporting and the audit compliance. Actually, it has the work-wise, it is not much for the company secretary to do, because the making of the financial statements, auditing, it's been done by the accountants and the auditors. Company secretary have to make sure that the work is done. Not that the company secretary have to do the financial reporting or the auditing. Company secretary have to make sure that the work is done. Responsibilities include coordinating the preparation and the approval of financial statements. You can see it doesn't say that the company secretary have to make the financial statements, just to coordinate, right? Coordinate. Ensuring appointment and reappointment of auditors. So especially with regard to auditors should be changed from time to time. There are regulations with regard to auditors. All of that have to be looked into. Facilitating audit access to company records. When the auditor wants to see the company records, company secretary have to make sure that the auditor will have access to the company records. Filing audited financial statements where required, and to file the audited financial statements when there's a requirement, and ensuring compliance with disclosure requirements in financial reporting. So looking into the financial reporting aspects also, not as I mentioned earlier, not to do the financial reporting, but to make sure that the required facilities are provided to do the financial reporting, to do the auditing, and thereby make sure that there is financial reporting and audit compliance. So this is also covered by some sections of the Companies Act. So section 148 to 153 discusses the requirements to keep the accounting records and prepare financial statements, that we have to keep accounting records and financial statements. Sections 154 to 161 is about the auditor appointments, qualifications, auditor reporting, which the company secretary helps coordinate with directors and shareholders. And sections 166 to 168 discusses the board's duty to prepare an annual report and distribute it to the shareholders. So the annual report compliance is mentioned in sections 166 to 168 of the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Ninth duty is the compliance with the Articles of Association. This is a very important duty of the company secretary, because we draft the Articles of Association of the company. We have to make sure that the company lives by the Articles of Association. The company secretary ensures that the company operates within the framework of its Articles of Association. Duties include advising the board on the interpretation and the application of the articles. Sometimes articles must be having some legal terminology that the shareholders, directors don't understand. So you will have to explain it to them, give them guidance, ensuring resolutions and actions are consistent with the articles. Just having the Articles of Association is not enough. You should live by the Articles of Association. Facilitating amendments to articles when required and filing them with the registrar. Wherever required, you have to, if we have to do an amendment of the articles, you have to pass a special resolution for that effect, and the registrar of companies should be informed. Filing with the registrar. And the statutory provisions, articles generally, the Act empowers a company's articles with regard to meetings, share rights and internal governance. I am going to teach you how to draft Articles of Association. Under that, I will tell you what you need to put in the articles, because the Companies Act gives the power to the articles to speak about the meetings, share rights and internal governance. The secretary must ensure all acts of the company are consistent with both the Act as well as the articles that I explained to you before. And the final duty of the company secretary is the regulatory liaison and the advisory role. So always remember, you're the person who knows the documentation of the company. You're the person who should give instructions with regard to the documentation of the company. You're the main administrative officer of the company as the company secretary. So you have the ultimate duty to make sure that everyone in the company complies with the regulatory framework. They might not know, you have to advise. Under that, I have given you, the company secretary acts as the primary liaison between the company and the regulatory authorities. Key functions, so as a bridge between the company and the registrar of companies, is the company secretary, responding to regulatory requirements, inquiries and notices. If someone should ask a question in the company, or an official outside the company asks some details with regard to the company, you should be able to provide them. You can't be clueless. You should be able to provide the asked information. So the responding to regulatory inquiries and notices. Advising the board on changes to company law and regulatory requirements. Now, how many of us know whenever there is an amendment to the Companies Act, we have to always be vigilant. Why? Directors, shareholders rely on you that you will inform them. So you should be ready for it. Ensuring ongoing statutory compliance and corporate governance standards. It's not just the company secretary's duties don't end at the incorporation. Actually, that is where the company secretary's duties start. You have to work thereafter to have continuous compliance with the regulatory framework. So the Act overall covers the consent and certificates of officers, especially secretaries, to be filed in the prescribed form, and notification of the statutory changes to the registrar. Anything that necessarily changes in the company, the registrar of companies should be informed. Who informs the registrar of companies is the company secretary. And there is no one company secretary section listing duties, but the Act requires statutory filings, disclosure and maintenance of records that the secretary oversees. So there is no one particular section in the Companies Act saying these are the secretary's duties, but overall disclosure requirements, filing requirements, the Companies Act here, there and everywhere mentions that that's the duty of the company secretary. right? So all in all, up until now, we were discussing about the Companies Act number 7 of 2007 and the regulatory compliance under the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. However, corporate governance and ethical compliance, I forgot that. So there's another duty, right? So another duty of the company secretary, 11th one, is the corporate governance and ethical compliance duty. Beyond strict statutory duties, company secretary promotes good corporate governance. So it's about ethics, right? We expect that organizations are ethical. Sometimes it's not all about the money, right? So sometimes we have to look into ethics as well. So what are the company secretary's ethical responsibilities towards the company? Advising the board on governance best practice. What are the good practices in a business? What are the bad practices in a business? What are the legal practices in a business? What are the illegal practices in a business? Company secretary should be able to inform the board. Ensuring transparency and accountability in decision making. At least the company secretary in his or her decision making should be accountable, should be transparent. Then others will learn through your actions. If you are also, අපේ භාෂාවෙන් කියන්නේ යටිමඩි ගහන එක්කෙනෙක් නම් company के අනිත් officers ලාත් automatically ඒකම තමයි කරන්නේ. Supporting compliance with codes of corporate governance where applicable and promoting ethical conduct and compliance culture within the company. You're the main legal bonding of the company. So you have to make sure that company will be both legal as well as ethical in its undertakings, and it's covered under a few sections. While corporate governance principles are not specifically codified in detailed sections, because ethics is like a religion, no one can force us to do it. But it's your belief, it's your belief system, it's how you have been brought up in. So that can't be covered in the Companies Act, but it comes from within a person, within a business, right? The secretary supports compliance by ensuring directors' duties under statutory provisions are disclosed and recorded, proper observance of meeting and reporting obligations as required by law, right? So this is not particularly covered under the Companies Act, but the other duties of the company secretary would include even making the company a more ethical workplace. And statutes other than the Companies Act. So till now we were discussing about the Companies Act only, no? So company secretary's duties are not only under the Companies Act. Although not part of the Companies Act, the secretary often ensures compliance with related statutory requirements such as employees' provident fund. So with regard to the EPF of the employees, making sure that the regulatory compliance is done properly. Obligations on employer reporting and contributions, this is not covered in the Companies Act but covered under the EPF Act, Employees Provident Fund Act, and even the Employees Trust Fund Act or the ETF, which is having similar reporting obligations. So always remember, it's not only about the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Our duties as the company secretary goes even far beyond that, and we can't evade that responsibility as long as you are a company secretary. All right, so with that, all the requirements what we discussed before, we discussed around 11 requirements of a company secretary. It's covered, and thereby we have completed the corporate compliance and regulatory requirements that a company secretary have to fulfill. There are, even in this section, there were many things that we have to practically learn: how to draft coming from the proxies, the articles of association, how to maintain registers, what are the essential registers to be maintained, all of which we will be covering at the next live session. All right. So thank you for joining me today, and hope I will see you at the next lecture. Thank you.